I'm not someone who really wants to be aggressive in the lineup, so it's kind of tough. I want to just chill, and so sometimes, yeah, just be sitting out there for a while, getting bored. Um, so I guess the boredom is maybe what led me to trying to surf less crowded waves, and it just so happened to be that longboards were what you needed to ride.
Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the First Light Surf Club Spotlight Sessions. My name is John. I'm the founder of First Light Surf Club, and we're a brand, community, and lifestyle dedicated to the working people who love to surf. For those who are in the water early and into work on time-ish, this is for you. Our mission as a brand is to encourage everyone to make the most of their mornings with good coffee, friends, and surfing, all before the demands of the day set in. Through these Spotlight Session interviews, we have conversations with entrepreneurs, creatives, and people we admire both in and out of the water. So grab a cup of coffee, sit back, and we hope you enjoy this conversation. Corey, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so let's just dive in. Tell us a bit about your upbringing and how you fell in love with surfing.
Yeah, I grew up in San Clemente, and my dad is a big surfer and has been my whole life, so he got me into it when I was a kid, and we'd go out at San Onofre, and we'd go tandeming when I was just a Grom, and so I didn't really get super into it until I was about 10 and started competing with my cousins, Griffin and Crosby, doing all sorts of contests up and down the coast, and super fun, just, getting into it, trying to do some big airs, and then, got a little more into longboarding later in life, and now I'm kind of been between and like to ride everything. If the waves are big and pumping, I'll take out a shortboard. If it's medium, maybe a mid-length, and then if it's micro, the log, and try to nose ride. So it's all fun.
So tell us a little bit about growing up with Griffin and Crosby. Like, what was it like having them beside you and surfing and competing? And
it was super fun growing up with Griffin and Crosby. They really helped push me. Griffin was always a bit better than me, even though he's only about a year younger than me. So he really pushed me, and he's just got a really cool, competitive edge to him that is fun, but serious at the same time. And so, had a blast hanging with those guys, and still hang with them a bit when I can, although they travel the world and pulling into barrels wherever.
Yeah.
And I'm usually staying more local, and I'll travel when I can, but I'm not quite on their level of success, although I'm trying.
Hey, we're all trying. I'm trying to be as good as you one day. So I'm hoping this interview I get all the secrets. Was it surfing next to them that helped you progress, and having a family with 3 amazing surfers in it? And was it something in the water that your dad and uncles were feeding you, or what was that about?
It's definitely a community's huge, and wanting to push each other. I feel like I still see that today, especially in San Clemente. There's still a really tight-knit crew, especially when you go down to lowers. There's just Groms, and there's a tight-knit pack of people who push each other, and it was really cool to be in that when I was a Grom.
So your whole family are all beach people, all surfers. Who would you say froths the hardest out of your entire family?
Oh, man. My dad is actually a mega frother. He still goes every day that he can. He's got some jet skis in the Oceanside Harbor, and he zips out to DMJs and even up past that to Las Pulgas. And I know it's been getting more popular, and so he'll just ride his jet ski all the way up with his buddy, find a peak to himself, and they'll do step offs. And I haven't been on that in a while because of my head injury, but I used to go a lot, and when it's on, it's just the whole coast is just barreling for miles, and you can just ride the wave so early on the jet ski, watch how it's going to form. And that's really cool. So he loves doing that. And then he also longboards a lot. So we surf Sano and trails together a lot. And yeah, super fun.
Tell me a little bit about the leaving the shortboard and exploring more of the longboard and then stepping back from competing.
I think I just got a little bit burned out. I was surfing lowers just all day, every day, and it's tough, you know. It's one peak and it's crowded, and you got to battle for waves. And I'm not someone who really wants to be aggressive in the lineup, so it's kind of tough. I want to just chill, and so sometimes, yeah, just be sitting out there for a while and getting bored. So I guess the boredom is maybe what led me to want to, be able to have fun on days where it's just kind of an average day. I don't want to just catch a lot of waves, honestly. So kind of started surfing, trying to surf less crowded waves. And it just so happened to be that, you know, longboards were what you needed to ride. But I remember telling my dad at a younger age where I was like, you know, I think I kind of want to get more into just making surf videos than competing. I think that's just where my passion is. It feels a little bit more artistic and soulful and not as serious, which is kind of my passion with surfing. And it's funny to have seen, since then, you know, the surf videography and influences through social media, it's taken off, and it's taken off around the world. And I felt like as a kid being into that, it really helped me, shape who I was, where I wanted to go with it. And really just super grateful for all that.
So where do you think that passion for the free surfing and creating content and filming, where do you think that came from? Like now, if you ask a kid, like they see you doing it and other big names doing it, and it's more of a like a visible path forward.
Yeah.
You kind of like paved a lot of the way for that, it seems like.
Yeah, I loved watching surf movies as a kid. Some of my favorites was like Modern Collective with Jordy Smith and Dusty Payne. So I just grew up, loving watching the surf movies, the art and the music behind it, and just, how entertaining that was. And it really just painted an awesome lifestyle, something that, put a big impression on me. And so I feel like now with social media as well, it's really connected the world together in such a cool way where I follow surfers all around the world and am always trying to stay connected. And it's fascinating to, be connected with someone in Portugal, Australia, Japan, and be able to message them and, comment on their waves that they had that morning and say like, hey, that's awesome. Nice job. Like that board's looking really good. Like that style's insane. And just try to, keep the hype alive. And it's really cool to see the way the world's connected through that now. And I feel like it's kind of got that similar sense that I grew up in San Clemente, where I had that community. But now I feel like I have it in a broader sense, with longboarding and longboarders around the world, as well as mid-length surfers. Cause I feel like that's kind of a smaller gap right now, coming from, I feel like the shortboard scene, which was the biggest. And then I got into longboarding, which was smaller. And then I feel like the mid-length scene or like mini longboard scene that's really small. And so anytime I see someone, out on the internet kind of pushing that boundary, I'm like, what? This is sick. Like, let's connect. Let's surf sometime. And so it's really cool.
Yeah, it's cool what the social media has done for community. Like you said, being able to connect with people across the world. And even from the standpoint of First Light Surf Club, we've been able to connect with people that are surfing in the Great Lakes around the East Coast and be able to do rad little content pieces on them. So yeah, I get that, and that's a rad thing, a good thing that's come from social media, despite all its negativity and drawbacks that is out there too. But so as a free surfer, and you're kind of building your personal brand, but how's it providing for your family and making ends meet? What's that look like for you?
Yeah, it's been awesome so far. Just been doing a lot of custom boards and trying to stay connected to people and talk with everyone about, what's the best board for them, and staying as, keeping it as personable as I can. That's one of my favorite things to do is, get a call from someone. They're looking for a surfboard to surf, this particular wave, they weigh this much. Their level is, intermediate, beginner, and, wherever they're at, just try and make the perfect board for them. So yeah, I love doing that, getting creative, and obviously it's nice to make a little bit of money and get by with that, and got my wife and dog back home. So yeah, we're making it work. And I also coach at J. Sarah, which is in San Juan. It's a private Catholic high school. And yeah, we just meet down at the beach early in the mornings, do some contests, and get the kids out there and stay stoked. So kind of just, yeah, get my hands on whatever I can and try to find work wherever, private surf lessons here and there. But yeah, you're saying having a career with it is interesting. You've definitely got the social media influencers who, that's cool and that's a thing to do. But, I want to focus more on, having a product, especially just having some sort of innovative product. Like with surfboards, you can always get creative and have something new. And I feel like boards are just going to get better and better and more unique. And, we might find something that is really special and no one's done before, and it fills this little gap in the quiver that makes, surfing this weird wave that nobody wants, like, super fun. I feel like even foiling kind of did that for me for a bit, where I was like, well, I can just ride an open swell. Like, that's crazy. And so I just feel like there's so many avenues to go with that. You can have an 11-foot mega glider that you're able to take 100 steps to get to the nose, and you're like, that's an awesome feeling. And then you can have like a little 6-foot, like, stubby mini nose rider where you just do one little step and you're on the nose, but you're like locked in, and that feels really cool as well. So yeah, I want to just try and create something that is sustainable with that and able to keep people stoked.
If I'm not mistaken, you had an injury that kind of spurred more of the shaping. Can you?
Yeah. So growing up, I was into a lot of different, action sports, skating and snowboarding and surfing. And I just hit my head, so many times. And I think that, concussions, they start to build on each other. And so you hear about a lot of, soccer players, and once they've had 6 or 7, it's like, okay, your career should probably, start thinking about, maybe other things, just because if you get more than that, it starts to get really bad. And so I think that's where I was at when I hit my head about 4 years ago. And yeah, just, it was crazy. It was really a tough time, really put me back into, just a simpler lifestyle, because I couldn't do much. I had to stop surfing for about a year, just had constant headaches. But that was also when I was getting into shaping, and I started designing boards that would be a little bit more controllable, easier to ride, and that I wouldn't have to worry about, falling and the board hitting me. So I got a lot more into smaller mid-lengths, and I started going a lot thinner with the boards. And the benefit of going thinner with the boards was I would get more planing. I would keep the planing surface of a longer board, but I would get the response time of something smaller. So I got to, still nose ride and cross step, but when it came to, turning in a critical section, I wasn't like, okay, I've got this 3-inch thick log. Instead, I've got a 2-inch thin, like, blade that I can kind of manhandle if I get thrown out of like a weird section. And so, yeah, that really helped push me into a little bit more of these advanced type boards that are really, just bladey and progressive. Although I don't make a lot of those for the public because they're harder to paddle. Unless somebody wants it and wants to get radical, I'm like, let's go. Yeah. But most people want to be able to paddle. And so, it's been a journey with the head injury. And I'm just grateful that I'm still able to do what I love. And it's made me count my blessings for sure. So, yeah.
On your social, you're pretty open about your faith and all of that. How does your faith in God, how does that translate to how you approach your surfing and approach community, and what does that look like?
Yeah, definitely. Having a faith is probably the most core part of who I am. I became a Christian about 8 years ago, and it just completely changed my life and my world. And I was definitely a bit more of an aggressive surfer at the time, and since I became a Christian, I definitely got a little bit more convicted with taking other people's waves and being aggressive and backpedaling and just being a punk little kid that I was. So I feel like that's fueled a big part of this, being someone who is sensitive to everyone in the lineup. And so I kind of have a hard time when I do go out at places that are crowded and I see like some local guy who's all gnarly, just kind of doing laps around other people. I'm like, I've had times where I've been like, bro, like you need to relax. But I'm like, that's the way the world works. It's a tough world, and just trying to spread God's love and just remind myself, okay, this is the system of the world. Jesus did say that the people of this world, they use their power to try to climb on top of each other, but he was like, I don't want that to be the way it's going to be with you. He said, I want you to serve other people, and the least is going to become the greatest in the kingdom, and then the greatest is going to become the least. So to me, it's like, wow, there's going to be a day of reckoning, where there are people who have just, not been nice in a sense. There will be justice, and it's a scary thought of me having to face that justice, but thankfully as a Christian, we know that Jesus died for our sins. And so to know that I'm forgiven is the greatest blessing I have, knowing that my soul is secure in God's hands. And I just want to share that with other people, that, God's forgiveness is for everyone. And so I feel like, just when I remind myself that, I'm like, hey, I'm not better than anyone else, and I've been there before, and we all need to humbly just receive God's love and take it and use it and help other people out and be kind, share waves, and
It's cool that that's able to just spread positivity in the water and sharing waves, having fun. I think that's what surfing at the core of it is about. It's cool to see you growing the Kookapinto brand. What's your goals with that? It sounds like you're kind of just shaping them for friends when they ask you, but seems like you're trying to.
Yeah, trying to ramp up. The brand for sure. Want to eventually go international one day. That's the dream. And I'd love to be able to travel and, have a sustainable, business model where I can go to places like Australia and Europe and Japan and wherever there's, surf scenes and be able to connect with people wherever they are. And yeah, that's probably my biggest dream, just to be able to meet with people all around the world and keep the stoke alive and kind of spread, just this little thing we got going. I feel like it's really doable in a lot of places around the world because you don't need very big waves to be able to, ride these little mini longboards. I mean, it's nice because, they're great for beginners. And then I feel like once you, open up your mind to be like, hey, you can also ride it like a mini longboard and try and get that cross step, which I feel like kind of pushes a lot of people's boundaries. It's easy to think, oh, you can only cross step and nose ride on a 9.0. But trying to push that, like, hey, let's get creative here on these like little 7-footers, 8-footers. It's still plenty of room to get a cross step in. See people on those little like 3-foot balance boards doing like tiny cross steps, and I'm like, oh, dude, that's sick. Like, how small can we go? Yeah. And still getting that like little longboard flow. And so, I want to be able to just kind of get people psyched all around the world with that and have the boards, that'll work well with that. And obviously wanting to start here in the USA. So trying to just ramp up the business model and be able to get boards for people and have a good stock inventory so people can go on the website and buy it, which I don't have that set up right now. Right? Lately, I've just been going kind of word of mouth and just kind of like, hit me up, give me a call sometime. But so figuring it out right now. Yeah.
Well, I feel like you're the perfect person to be running with this because everyone sees you getting creative on this board, and everyone like wants to be able to do that too. So they're going to be getting the boards that they see you having fun on.
Thanks.
For someone who's a Grom who wants to make a life of surfing, what's some advice that you'd recommend or tell them?
A Grom that just wants to send it, I would say, stay creative and don't feel like you need to get stuck in the mold for sure. I feel like I got burned out because I kind of did that, and I would say just, have an open mind with a quiver. And I would say that, putting in the time as a Grom on the shortboard really helps you learn a lot about surfing. And it's nice because you're smaller, so every wave feels way bigger. And I would say that's where you can really probably improve the most. Although the shortboard is the hardest, when you're young, you're able to catch on to those types of things quicker. And so, I'd say probably go for that shortboard route at first and really build that foundation. And then from there, everything else is easier to ride. So, yeah.
Well, Corey, appreciate the time. This has been a fun conversation. It was awesome surfing with you earlier this morning. Thanks again for taking the time coming down here.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. This place is cool and got a good thing going, so stoked to be a part of it.
Rad. So there you go. First Light Surf Club Spotlight Session, episode 3. Thanks for tuning in. Follow along First Light Surf Club on social media, Instagram, YouTube, and follow us anywhere that you can. So thanks again for Amigo Studio for opening up their space and filming us, Degree 33, for all their support with the board demos and everything. And Corey, thanks again. And check him out, Kookapinto. He's the guy. So thank you. What's one spot that you haven't surfed yet that's on your list that you'd like to surf at some point in your life?
Man, it's funny you'd ask. I've got a lot of spots on my iPhone maps. I love just like nerding out me like, wow, there's a sick point there, like down in Baja. Like, is there any roads that lead to that thing? Like, I don't know. There's a lot of spots in Baja I want to go to. But I mean, if I could just teleport anywhere, it'd be somewhere tropical and super nice. I mean, it's, obviously more expensive to get to those types of places, but I've had a lot of fun. Actually, I surfed restaurants one time at Tavarua, and that was probably one of the best waves I've ever had. It was just like a just wrapping barrel that went forever, and I don't know if there's anything that beats that in my mind. But somewhere new would probably be something similar, if there is anything like that else out there. Maybe something like Macaroni's, like that one wave in Indo or wherever it is. I haven't been over there. It looks really cool. Yeah, all that like Indo, Bali waves look really cool. So some just big barreling left.
Yeah.
Yeah, with clear water so you can kind of see the reef around you. That's really cool.
That's the dream right there.